I've realized is when you confront addiction with a family member, with yourself, what you need is options. It feels like you're being, dunked underwater and being held underwater, and you're flailing, and you don't know which way is up. And the book is about that, the solution to addiction, the way to look at it, and to give people some hope that they don't have to be trapped in that one way of thinking. Rehab's great, AA is great, but he brings to it a whole other set of values and options. He's a great doctor, and I don't let anybody see me naked other than him. Maybe my wife or unique lips or something, but Dr. David Kipper.
Rodney Dangerfield had a very funny line. He said, "I don't actually like cocaine, I just like the way it smells." And he's not alone. There are 100 million people in America that have addiction problems. But the science now backs us up. We have the genetic code has been cracked. We understand there are several gene markers for addiction. There's probably a dozen now, and there'll probably be another dozen, in another 6 months. But we can actually identify people that have a predisposition to cocaine problems, alcohol problems. Addiction is a dual diagnosis disease, and what that means is that for over 100 years we've been treating this disease as an addiction, as the problem. The addiction is really secondary, and it's secondary to the primary problem, which is brain chemistry, which is the mental health issue that goes along with the imbalanced brain chemistry. Just to make this simple, if there are three basic neurotransmitters that we have, there's serotonin, dopamine, and noradrenaline. If you have too little serotonin, you're going to be depressed and you're going to have some OCD. If you have too little dopamine, you're going to have a focusing problem. You may have a bipolar disorder, depending on the degree of that disorder. And then if you have an imbalance in noradrenaline, you're going to be nervous and anxious and panicky. And that's what these chemicals in the brain do. That's how they express their behavior. So when these imbalances are stressed, they go way out of whack, and people feel really bad, and they self-medicate. And if you self-medicate with the wrong things, you get an addiction, and that's how this all happens. The future of addiction is very interesting. We're going to see vaccines. We have a vaccine for cocaine that's coming out in a couple of years. Very interesting. They took a cold virus, and they figured out what part of that rhinovirus, it's a cold virus, stimulates the immune response to produce an antibody. The antibody comes and attacks the virus. That's how you get better. So they took the part of the virus that provokes the immune response, and then they tagged it with a little thing that looks like, to the body, cocaine. And they injected this into rats. Rats developed these antibodies. And so now when the rat would take cocaine, the cocaine would be destroyed before it ever got to the brain. So now they're figuring this out for humans, but it's the same principle. So we really owe it to our kids to educate them about this, to just teach them these very simple things, so that when they get exposed to these drugs, and they all do in junior high school and high school, if they understand how this works, and they understand that they have some resources, and hopefully there'll be more people treating this disease.
Yeah, this may be in your book. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm wondering, are you alone on the front lines of this paradigm? Do you have other communication with other doctors?
No, I think I'm not Madame Curie here. This is information that's out there, and a lot of this is information that I've learned in these conferences and at these meetings and in my readings. Most of it I've learned actually through experience. And so no, I'm definitely not alone. And there are a lot of doctors that treat addiction in similar ways. I like treating addiction. Addiction is sort of a mind-body disease. It incorporates not only the emotional but the physical. And actually when you treat other chronic medical diseases like diabetes and heart disease and cancer, you're putting Band-Aids on people most of the time. You can actually fix somebody with an addiction. You can actually restore their lives, and it's a very rewarding feeling when it works.